Which chocolate is the best dark chocolate you can buy in Brazil? To do this test, I decided to get mostly the cheap chocolates in the supermarket. And like, if you're a gringo coming to Brazil, most of the chocolates you're gonna find, they're probably not gonna surprise you, at least the ones you're gonna find in the supermarket. Like, if this is like the chocolate, the standard chocolate you're used to, like, this is by far the like the ceiling of things you're gonna find in Brazil. And usually Lint is gonna be much more expensive in Brazil than it's gonna be outside of it. One of my professors actually said that the reason dark chocolate in Brazil in general is not great is that it's really hot here, and so they need to add like a lot of different fats, like usually like hydrogenated fats, and because of it, the chocolates are just not good. And the reason they put those in the chocolates is that because it's really hot, it's not gonna melt in the supermarkets, because a lot of places they don't have air conditioning. So we're gonna start with one of the classics here, Nestle. I ate a lot of this in the past. I have the impression that it actually got pretty bad as time went on. I remember this tasting really good. I'm not sure if I was just a kid or if it really decreased a lot in quality. Let's just go for it. I mean, it's actually pretty decent. It definitely has some like cacao flavor. It is kind of brittle. It's not super soft, but that's expected to dark chocolate. This is hard because it's the first one, but I think I'm gonna give this like a 7, just so we are safe. So this one, I'm gonna give it a 7. Let's move to Garotto. So, I remember Garotto tasting much shittier than Nestle, at least like 10 years ago. Actually pretty similar, and I think this one is a little bit cheaper than Nestle. So this already feels softer, like in the way it broke when I heard. It definitely is softer. I think I actually like this a little bit more. It has the like cacao flavor from that one. I don't think like it has less cacao in that one, but it's definitely a little bit softer. It's just, I'm not sure if this would taste better in an actual dish, but eating by itself, this actually feels pretty good. So I'm gonna give this 7.5. So 7.5 for this one. Now we have Lacta, and we actually have 2 types of Lacta. This one seems a little bit fancier, and it is a little bit more expensive, but not by much. So maybe I should go with this one, because I think like these 3 ones are the classic ones I used to eat when I was a kid. This one also says 40% cacao, whereas the Garotto one didn't say 40%, which probably means it doesn't have 40% cacao, but it was better than Nestle, honestly. Like, not by a long shot, but it was definitely a little bit better. So this one actually has like bigger little thingies. Wow. This is even softer. This is weird. Like, it's softer, but not in a good way. And it has an aftertaste of like something that's not chocolate, and it's not good either. I'm not a big fan. I think I'm gonna go with like 5.5 for this one. It's really weird because it is actually pretty soft, but even though it says 40% cacao, it doesn't taste like cacao. Yeah, not impressed by this one. I remember Lacta being like the second place, always behind Nestle 10 years ago when I ate a lot of chocolate. So that the places changed a little bit, but now we have the fancy version. So maybe this one's gonna be a little bit better. It also says, both of them say 40% cacao. And now this one says intense and soft. This is like, it's almost like melting. It has the same weird sort of softness. It's like, it is a little bit better, but yeah, not by a good, not by a decent margin. Like, I think this is probably a 7. Both Lactas, even the more expensive one, kind of meh. Now, this one, you guys are probably very familiar with if you're not from our country. This one definitely became popular here. I don't think we had Hershey's for a long time. I think this became popular like 5 to 8 years ago. Like when I was a kid, I definitely don't remember having that in the supermarket. So it took a while for them to actually get here. This one has 4 little thingies instead of 3. It feels much more brittle, which is not necessarily a bad thing, as we figured out. Being soft is also could be a bad thing. And this one also says 40%, so this is actually pretty funny, because I know Hershey's gets a terrible rap for most people. And I mean, I know this is not great chocolate, because at the end of the day, everything here is really cheap. Like, I think if we exclude this one, everything is under $2 maybe. I want to give this 7.5. Also, I think this one is comparable to this one right here. Like, this one actually tastes a little bit more... This one's a little softer, but in a good way. This one has a little bit more cacao taste, but they're both pretty decent if we compare it to the other ones, and, you know, if we consider it is very cheap chocolate. So, I mean, if you're a chocolate snob, I don't really recommend... you should probably bring a lot of your own chocolate here, because you're gonna pay a premium for good chocolate, unfortunately. I think I'm gonna go with this one, because this one is kind of a wild card. This is a supermarket brand. You can actually find this if you go to São Paulo. You can find this everywhere. Not this chocolate, but the actual supermarket. And if it's like a kind of an upscale one, you might be able to find this. It says 50%, and usually, like, the supermarket brands recently have been, like, I've been buying a lot of supermarket brands, and they are really better than a lot of people give it credit for. This one was on the more expensive side, because it's also a 50% cacao, and it says, like, imported from Germany, which should mean something, I guess. Oh, wow, and this one is, like, much more dense, it feels. Very brittle. Okay. This one is really good. I think this one was like 11 reais, so a little bit more than $2. This feels like a good, average dark chocolate brand. So I'm gonna go 8.5 on this one. Like, it's a little bit bitter, brittle, but there is an underlying softness, and like as you chew it, it kind of starts melting in your mouth, and it's good. This is really good. Congrats. I mean, I knew supermarket brands, they always have your back. Now we have Albino, which I have no idea if this is actually popular outside of Brazil or not. Like, their signature is this sort of like liquor sort of chocolate. It has this like underlying booze feeling to it, but it is usually a very soft and like milk chocolate type of product, and this one says darker chocolate. It doesn't say what's the percentage of cacao here, and it feels very soft. It is very soft. Yeah, this is not very impressive. Like, it has the same weird softness from the Lacta ones, and I don't know if you like chocolate that has this like underlying booze sort of feeling to it. It might be your jam, but for the price, which I will add here at the end, I don't think this is worth the price. It is kind of gimmicky. It's not really dark chocolate, and I mean, it's not terrible. I'll give it a 6.5, I guess, but yeah, definitely not great. Now, this one is also a wild card, because I have never seen this in Brazil, and I think I got this also from a Dia. So very, very cool. And this was actually cheap, right? Because it says, I'm assuming this is German. Like, this is definitely from Europe, because the price is in euros. Yeah, it says imported from Europe, and it was cheaper than the Dia one. That was like two and a little bit of dollars. So this was more of like 180. And I don't know. You know, it's imported. It was not on sale. So if you can find this and it's actually good, this could be exciting. I never had this in my life. It actually comes in like, oh, it's just like lots of cubes. It's not a bar. I don't know. This is not bad. It has this like booze sort of. Let me actually look at the ingredients here. So sugar, cacao paste, butter. It doesn't really have any. I think it's like it has this vanilla flavor, I guess. So it's the vanilla flavor. It's not really booze, which is not bad, but it doesn't like. I expected more cacao from being imported from Germany and all that, but it's not bad. I'm gonna give this like 7.8, because it's definitely better than like this one that I think I gave 7.5, but it's also not that much of an improvement, and I think it is much more expensive. So yeah, it's okay. Now we only have two, and this is gonna be, so this is kind of a wild card, because I used to have a lot of Talento, and it's from the same brand that makes this one, but this one says 70%, and usually the dark chocolates that we find at this price point, they're never 70%. So this is either gonna be terrible or good. I have no idea. I don't really like super dark chocolate, so I don't have a lot of expectations. And this one is just gonna be like my baseline. So like after eating all of this, I can have this one and kind of tell you, if you're on like how much of a bad time you're gonna have in Brazil if you have to eat those brands instead of what you're used to. So I mean, I actually like the way the bars are. They're like, this is weird. Like when you bite, you don't get that feeling of like of a temperate chocolate. It feels like there's all of these little pieces of chocolate that they somehow compress together, and when you bite on them, it's not really like sand, but there's this like brittle, very... I never had something like this in my life, but this is not bad. Like, it definitely tastes like cacao, and for a 70% cacao, I was expecting this like super bitter, too much like intensity sort of chocolate, but it's not like that at all. If you really like dark chocolate, this is good. It doesn't have that much sugar, which I kind of like. I'm not into super sugary foods. I think I'm gonna give this a 7.8. As like a dessert or candy perspective, it is just as good as this one, but this one has like this vanilla sort of flavor. It's a little bit more sugary, and it tastes good. This one is more on the heavy on cacao side of things, but I think they're equivalent. This one is probably a little bit cheaper, but has like 10 less grams probably. But yeah, equivalent, not impressive, but definitely, you know, decent for the price you're paying. And now we finally have the Lint. Let's see how good this is gonna be. I mean, it's been a while since I had Lint, and usually when I do, actually, it's one of the few milk chocolates that I like. So I'm interested to see. Yeah, this is really good. Like, it has this like backbone of dark chocolate, but it has the soft, like this one is soft in the best way possible out of all of these. I think like one comparable one in terms of like good softness is this one. Even the Dia one wasn't as soft, and like the cacao flavor is on point. I know this is not like amazing chocolate, but this is just for you to be prepared if you're ever here. And I mean, obviously, we're talking about cheap chocolate, guys. I'm gonna say 9 to this one, and I'm not saying like, wow, out of every chocolate on earth, this is a 9. No, like we're talking about supermarket brands, and I would say this is a 9. And if I'm not mistaken, the highest score that I gave was this one right here, the Dia one. So I'm actually gonna have them again, just for sake of comparison, not because I am actually very hungry. This is definitely not as soft, but it has this like deeper flavor than this one, actually. Definitely like more flavorful. This one a little bit softer, like you can see from the way it breaks. This is taller, so maybe it's not that this one is softer, but because I need to put more pressure when I bite into this one, it doesn't feel as soft. Maybe this is the trick, like just make a very thin sheet of chocolate compared to this one. But yeah, I'm gonna say this is definitely an 8.5. Lint is, you know, a 9, but this one is half the price. Unless you really like Lint, I think this is like a really good, you know, price for your buck. This is not really easy to find though, so you really have to find a Dia that is like in an upscale part of whatever town it is that you live. Chocolate in Brazil, not very impressive, but still, you know, can be decent nonetheless. If from Europe, you're probably gonna have a bad time, but if you're from the US or another country that doesn't have like a tradition in chocolate, I don't think you're gonna be like super sad. Just expect very pricier chocolates, especially the imported ones, the ones that we don't produce here like Lint. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a good one, and bye.